Vibe 105, this is Fatima Husain, and today we're discovering Toronto's huge flaming art installation, The Burn. The interactive art project is currently touring the GTA to mark the 3rd anniversary of the COVID-19 pandemic. And joining us today at the Vibe 105 studios is the creative lead of the project, the multi-talented, award-winning artist, Roger Mooking. Roger, welcome to Vibe 105.
Oh, thanks for having me, Fatima.
It's wonderful having you here again.
We are touring the burn vessels right now around the city. 3 of these vessels will be moving locations weekly, coming to people in the city where they are.
So just for our audiences, what is the initiative, The Burn, all about?
The Burn is an art installation, an interactive art installation. It's happening in a couple phases. Phase 1 right now from January 19th to March 11th. There are 3 burn vessels. They're about 3.5 feet tall, filled with cedar spheres. And the intention is that the public will interact with the vessel, and they're touring 24 locations around the city in that window. And the idea is you take one of the cedar spheres and you place an intention that's happened, in the last few years. So perhaps somebody died in your family, you're experiencing grief or trauma, or just a myriad of things have been happening over these last few years. So you place your intention of healing on these cedar spheres and you place it into the vessel. The vessel balls are collected. And on March 11th sunset to March 12th sunset, we're building 3 large monuments, 12-foot monuments of perforated steel, fire, light, and sound, flaming cavities. And you can also interact with the burn vessels there. And we'll be collecting all of those cedar spheres, tens of thousands, from the burn vessel tour. And we'll be using the power of water and fire to cleanse and heal and transform those intentions. And then all of the ashes from the burn are going to be repurposed through community gardens in perpetuity.
Sounds amazing. So as the creative lead of the project, how did the idea spark or come to be?
I was deep in the middle of COVID like everyone else. It was around January 2021, and I just found myself in a very dark place. Not an unusually dark place, but this time was different because I realized that I wasn't by myself in that moment. Everybody in the world was experiencing some varying degrees of grief and trauma and loss and stress, unusual stress, right? So I said, look, this is not about me, this is about other people. And I went to bed. Woke up in that morning, and this idea of taking an intention, charging it, releasing that charged intention through healing, of burning and cleansing, and then repurposing those ashes in perpetuity through the garden, that idea struck me. And I've been working with the City of Toronto for several years now as a member of the Awakenings Task Force and doing a lot of initiatives around social justice and art. And I explained this concept to Umbreen, and I got the curator at the City of Toronto, and she got it immediately. And we built a team. We brought in Javid Jah, who is our designer and fabricator of all of the materiality that you're seeing. And we brought in Elder Catherine Tomorrow to advise us on, the indigenous aspect of what we're doing throughout the burn. And then we just started steamrolling the process. And over time, the city became involved, then the Canadian government became involved, and it's turned into this quite large thing,
So you mentioned that the interactive element or the installation is intended to provide a sanctuary for healing. So what have been the inspiring elements or factors that have shaped your vision of the burn?
Really, it was a few things. I wanted to make sure that it was universally approachable. So no matter what religion, age, sex, income, political, anything. One thing I know is that every person on earth needs and requires and seeks love, and sometimes we need healing to get to that love. So it was really important for me that it was universally approachable. So we designed and built everything, every part of the experience, every part of the vessels around this notion,
Roger, you're a successful chef, a celebrated musician, and as you mentioned, you continue to work or turn heads with your, well-curated projects in collaboration with the City of Toronto. So how does this form of unique creative expression represent your passions, and what in particular drive you in this new medium?
Well, it's interesting, for like 30 years, I've been creating art and putting it out into the world. And just being around teams of creative people constantly over time, you just start to absorb different things. Talking to architects, graphic designers, space designers, you start to understand that the mediums are different, but the processes in many ways are the same. So about a decade ago, I started taking up like painting just as a hobby. And, now I'm like doing like this visual arts thing that's going to be coming later in the year, and then expanding into these other art installations and interactive experiences, and taking those elements and bringing them into the things that I've already been known for, like with music or with food, and creating more experiential things around food and music other than just, here's some food on a plate, this type of thing. So with the City of Toronto, we did the Dismantle project, which the food installation was a very dynamic aspect of that takeover of Spadina House. And so I'm always looking to kind of expand, I guess, my artistic capacity, but the vision as well to be able to execute on multiple touch points, All right, this is the inauguration, the launch of the burn vessels here at my restaurant, Twist by Roger Duque. I'm so humble and honored to be able to do this for the first time. Here we go.
So the Burn has been on a GTA-wide tour since January the 19th.
Yeah.
How has the response been so far?
The response to the Burn so far with the vessel tour has been really incredible. We've been getting, I just got a 5-minute video of a whole bunch of kids at a high school interacting with the Burn, and it brought me to tears. There's kids speaking about their gender equality issues, and they want to feel a release around that, and their family doesn't understand them, but they wish healing for them still. And the second person that I know that interacted with the Burn vessel was one of my staff at Twist at the airport. One of our most beloved staff, her name is Mama. And so I did the Burn vessel and I went for a meeting. Then she came behind me, and a couple minutes later she comes walking up to me and she's crying, right? I said, Mama, what's wrong? I get up, I hug her. What's wrong? She goes, Roger, thank you for doing this. No one knows what we walk around with in our heart. We work every day, we smile, we take care of the people around us, but we're all walking around with some type of pain, but we aren't able to share that. This allows me to share that. And so I think it was really powerful, and we just sat and hugged for like 5 minutes, right? I think the beauty of that is that the Burn is an individual experience, but it's also a collective experience. And I think by embracing the collectivism inside the individualism, there's just a magic duality that's taking place, a tension and release there that's really, really powerful. And that kind of dynamic tension always bears fruits for growth.
That was wonderfully explained. How can people across the city continue to interact with the Burn?
So if you go to toronto.ca/theburn, you'll be able to read more about what the installation is and see all of the vessel tour visits until March 11th. If you are so not inclined to do that, just show up at Nathan Phillips Square at sunset of March 11th to sunset of March 12th. And like I said, we're building these monuments of perforated steel, light and sound, sitting in pools of water. And if you didn't have a chance to interact with the Burn vessels during the Burn vessel tour, you can interact with the monumental fire pits and the Burn vessels on site that day. And there's some programming. We have some really special guest performers, really amazing. So yeah, I encourage everybody, just mark your calendar. Sunset March 11th, sunset March 12th. It's going to be a very special evening in the city of Toronto, Nathan Phillips Square.
Absolutely. And I do know that you briefly touched base on it earlier during our interview, but what can our audiences expect to see from you next?
Oh, there's a bunch of stuff coming up. I just released this video for Never Thought to coincide with the burn. It's sort of speaking on all of the elements and the conundrums of the world in a very fun, playful way. It's a song I did with this kid, Malachi. I shot, directed the video, so that was really fun. I'm working on a project right now that kind of ties together a lot of things that people know of me and they don't yet know of me, but they're soon to learn and discover, and that's being packaged up. We'll be announcing that in the next week or so.
Roger, it has been a pleasure talking to you, but unfortunately that's all the time we have for today. But congratulations on your project, The Burn, and thank you once again for joining us.
Thanks, Fatima, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Man, I got a whole record store in my pocket. True. I just be happy and laugh and put it on the gram and put it on my ear. Every time I make about $100 grand. Damn.
I never thought that it would come to this.
But of course it did.